In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Zorith Empire had already explored many worlds, but none intrigued them as much as the planet Earth. From a distance, Earth appeared insignificant, a small, unassuming rock in the vast expanse of space. Yet, a strange anomaly had caught their attention. The planet's atmosphere was unstable in ways they had never seen before, and it emitted a frequency that puzzled their best scientists. Commander Jacques Rill was the leader of the exploration mission. He had been assigned to investigate this oddity and report back. As the ship approached Earth's atmosphere, he could feel the weight of the unknown pressing against him. The Zorith Empire was a powerful race, capable of conquering entire star systems, but Earth seemed different. It wasn't a matter of military power. It was something more subtle, something Jacques Rill couldn't quite place. The ship entered Earth's atmosphere without any resistance, and the explorers made their way toward a secluded area on the planet's surface. The dense forests below seemed untouched by civilization, hiding secrets that had been waiting for millennia. They landed quietly in a clearing, not far from the dense woods. The humans, the primitive species they had heard so much about, had no idea they were being watched. The first human the Zorith Empire encountered was a farmer, living alone in a small cabin. He looked confused but not particularly alarmed when he saw the strange craft descending from the sky. Jacques Rill and his crew approached cautiously, hoping to communicate. The humans, however, were not as easy to understand as they had anticipated. At first, the farmer didn't speak, but his eyes followed the Zorith explorers with a mixture of awe and suspicion. Commander Jacques Rill tried to approach with diplomacy, but the farmer's reaction was not what they expected. He didn't bow or flee. Instead, he offered them an old tool he had crafted himself, a simple yet ingenious contraption to chop wood more efficiently. Jacques Rill was taken aback. This small, handcrafted object made the commander pause. It was not a weapon, not even a particularly impressive tool by Zorith standards, but it was a sign. The humans had something they hadn't predicted: creativity. It was not just survival instincts at work. The farmer had made this tool to improve his life, showing resourcefulness and ingenuity. As Jacques Rill continued to observe the humans, he grew more intrigued. These primitive beings had a spark of brilliance that the Zorith Empire had not expected. The commander had heard stories about Earth's inhabitants, stories of violence, poverty, and war, but he had never anticipated encountering such intelligence hidden beneath the surface of their seemingly simple lives. The Zorith Empire had underestimated them, and that, Jacques Rill knew, could prove to be a dangerous mistake. Little did he know, the true horror of human ingenuity was just beginning to unfold. The ancient weapon, buried deep beneath Earth's surface, was waiting to be discovered, and when it was, it would change everything. Commander Jacques Rill stood in the middle of the clearing, watching the human farmer slowly walk away, his eyes still filled with curiosity. The strange feeling he had sensed on his approach to Earth had only deepened. He had come to investigate a small, unimportant planet, but already something about these humans puzzled him. They were nothing like the primitive creatures the Zorith Empire had expected. They were capable of more than just survival. They were capable of thought, of creativity, of something far more dangerous. "Commander," one of his officers, Taikmar, called out as he approached. "What should we do next?" Jacques Rill turned to face her. "We proceed with caution. We must investigate further, but we cannot reveal ourselves fully just yet. I want to know what they are capable of." The Zorith explorers were careful in their next move. They knew the humans were not as helpless as they appeared. They had seen the strange device the farmer had offered them, and that small act of creativity had sparked something in Jacques Rill's mind. It made him rethink everything he knew about the human race. The Zorith Empire's ship was hidden in a thick patch of trees. They didn't want to make their presence too obvious, but at the same time, they couldn't afford to waste any time. The sooner they found the source of the strange energy signal, the sooner they could report back to the Empire. If the rumors about Earth's hidden power were true, then the Zorth Empire would need to be prepared for what lay ahead. The next day, Jacqueril's team ventured further into the forests. As they trekked deeper, they stumbled upon more humans, this time in small groups, working on simple but efficient machines, devices made of metal, wood, and stone. The Zorth explorers were amazed at the humans' ability to craft and build with such basic materials. Their technology was far from advanced, yet there was something about it that made it unique. Each human they encountered seemed to have a different way of solving problems, a different approach to life. "Commander, this planet is full of surprises," Tykmar said. "These humans may be primitive, but they are intelligent. We cannot overlook them." Jacqueril nodded slowly. He knew she was right. The more he observed the humans, the more he realized that their true strength lay not in their physical power, but in their minds. It was a strength the Zorth Empire had not anticipated. The Zorth Empire had always relied on technology to maintain control. But these humans, these seemingly weak beings, were showing that ingenuity could be just as powerful as any weapon. As they continued their journey, the group came across a strange building deep within the forest. It was old and weathered, but still standing strong. Jacqueril felt a strange energy coming from it, something that felt both ancient and powerful. They approached cautiously, ready for anything. What they didn't know was that this building was where the weapon lay, buried for centuries, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. They didn't yet know it, but this discovery would change everything. The weapon was not just a tool of destruction. It was a key to understanding the true potential of human ingenuity. And as Jacqueril and his team uncovered it, they unknowingly began the countdown to an unexpected and terrifying encounter with the very thing they had come to Earth to conquer. The forest grew denser as Commander Jacqueril and his team moved forward. The trees loomed tall above them, their shadows creating an eerie silence that filled the air. It wasn't just the environment that felt different. It was the strange energy that hummed in the air, almost as if the land itself was alive, waiting. Jacqueril could sense it growing stronger with each step, pulling him deeper into the heart of the forest. "Commander," Tykmar whispered, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and unease. "This place feels unnatural. The energy here is unlike anything we've encountered before." Jacqueril didn't reply immediately. He was too focused on the strange building ahead. It stood at the base of a rocky hill, half covered by vines and overgrown plants. The structure appeared ancient, its stone walls weathered by time. But even in its decayed state, it emanated an aura of power, something ancient, something lost. They approached carefully, weapons ready, though Jacqueril knew that any physical threat would likely be irrelevant. This wasn't about a battle. It was about understanding what lay within. The building, though old and covered in moss, had a strange symmetry to it. It was clear that whatever civilization had built it had put a great deal of effort into creating something lasting. Inside, the air was thick with dust, and the walls were lined with strange symbols Jacqueril could not decipher. The structure was eerily silent, the only sound the faint creak of the old stone under their boots. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the building, they came upon a large chamber. In the center of the room, covered in dust and debris, was a pedestal, its surface almost glowing with an otherworldly light. Atop the pedestal was the weapon, something neither Jacqueril nor his crew had ever seen before. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a device, sleek and metallic, with an intricate design that seemed to change the longer they stared at it. It pulsed with energy, as if alive. The more Jacqueril looked at it, the more he felt an overwhelming sense of danger. This wasn't just a weapon. It was something far more powerful. "What is this?" Jacqueril whispered, almost to himself. Tykmar approached cautiously, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. "I don't know, Commander. But this is beyond anything we've encountered. It's far older than anything in our records. And it's not just a weapon. It seems intelligent." The rest of the team stood silent, watching the device. Its power seemed to call to them, Yet none of them dared to approach it. Jackril stepped forward, his hand reaching for the device. As his fingers brushed against its surface, a surge of energy coursed through him. He staggered back, his heart racing. What just happened? One of his officers, Ishlor, asked, his voice tense. Jackril didn't answer immediately. He was still feeling the effects of the strange energy. The weapon, or whatever it was, seemed to have reacted to his touch. But what was it? Why was it here, hidden on a primitive planet like Earth? Take it back to the ship, Jackril ordered, his voice steady. We need to analyze it. But be careful. This thing is more than we expected. If we're not careful, it could destroy us all. The team moved quickly, carefully securing the device. As they left the building, Jackril couldn't shake the feeling that they had just uncovered something far more dangerous than any of them had imagined. Little did they know, the true power of the weapon wasn't just its destructive capabilities. It was the way it would change everything about the future of Earth and the Zorith Empire. Back on the Zorith Empire's ship, the team was busy analyzing the strange weapon they had uncovered. The device sat on a metal table in the ship's laboratory, surrounded by scanners and monitors, but no one seemed able to fully understand its capabilities. The energy readings were off the charts, fluctuating in ways that none of their advanced technology could explain. Jackril stood over the weapon, his mind racing with questions. This is unlike anything we've ever encountered, he muttered to himself. It's not just a weapon. It's something else, something intelligent. Despite their best efforts, the Zorith scientists couldn't make sense of the device. It was clearly designed by a highly advanced civilization, but its purpose remained a mystery. It didn't function like any weapon they had in their arsenal. There were no obvious controls or interfaces. Instead, it seemed to respond to its surroundings, pulsing with energy, as though waiting for something or someone. Meanwhile, far away from the Zorith ship, on the surface of Earth, a young human named Arlo was about to make a discovery of his own. Arlo had always been an inventor, known among his small community for his curiosity and creativity. He spent most of his time tinkering with old machines, taking apart discarded electronics, and trying to make them work in new ways. He had always believed that anything was possible if you could figure out how it worked. One evening, as he was working on an old engine in his workshop, Arlo noticed something strange. His tools, which were scattered across the workbench, began to hum quietly. He looked up, his heart skipping a beat as he saw the faintest glow from the forest outside his window. It wasn't the usual fireflies or lightning bugs. It was something different. His instincts told him something was happening. Arlo rushed outside, grabbing his flashlight. He didn't know what was out there, but his curiosity got the better of him. As he walked deeper into the woods, he saw the faint glow again. This time, it was coming from a hidden clearing, one he hadn't noticed before. He entered cautiously and froze in his tracks. There in the middle of the clearing was the alien ship, surrounded by strange, metallic structures. He blinked, unsure of what he was seeing. Then his eyes widened as he noticed something even more surprising. There, partially hidden beneath a tarp, was the weapon. Arlo's heart raced. He had heard rumors of strange things happening in the forest, but he never imagined he would stumble upon something like this. The device hummed quietly, almost as if it were calling to him. Without fully understanding why, Arlo walked closer, unable to resist its pull. He reached out and placed his hand on the surface of the weapon. Immediately, a jolt of energy surged through him, sending a wave of warmth and light across his body. The weapon seemed to respond to his touch as if it recognized him. Arlo stepped back, wide-eyed, but the device remained calm, the glow fading slowly. "What in the world?" Arlo whispered, his mind racing. He didn't know what this was, but he knew it was important. Little did he know, his accidental contact with the weapon had set a chain of events in motion. The humans, with their creativity and curiosity, were about to become the key players in a game that no one, not even the mighty Zorith Empire, had anticipated. The Zorith Empire had come to Earth looking for power, but they had unknowingly stirred something far more dangerous than they could ever have imagined. The ingenuity of the human mind. Arlo couldn't stop thinking about the strange device he had discovered in the woods. The glow, the warmth, it felt like it was alive, and it seemed to react to him in a way that didn't make sense. He knew he had to learn more about it. As a young inventor, he had always been curious, always searching for ways to understand how things worked. But this was something far beyond anything he had ever encountered. He spent the next few days in his workshop, reading every book on ancient technologies he could find, studying old blueprints, and experimenting with his own tools. Arlo was determined to understand the weapon, even though he had no idea where to begin. But one thing was clear. The device was powerful, and he needed to figure out how to control it before others did. He had a strange feeling that he wasn't the only one interested in its capabilities. Meanwhile, on the Zorith Empire's ship, Commander Jacques Grill was growing more frustrated. They had spent days trying to understand the weapon, but no progress had been made. The device seemed to resist their attempts to analyze it. It wasn't just a weapon. It was like a living puzzle, constantly shifting, changing in ways that their technology couldn't handle. "This is impossible," Jacques Grill muttered, his voice tense as he stared at the screens. "How can something so advanced be so unexplainable? It doesn't respond to our commands, and every time we think we have it figured out, it does something new." Tykmar, one of his most trusted officers, walked over, her face filled with concern. "Commander, perhaps we are looking at this the wrong way. Maybe it's not meant to be understood by our methods. Maybe it was designed for someone else." Jacques Grill looked at her, his eyes narrowing. "Someone else?" She nodded slowly. "What if the weapon doesn't respond to us because it wasn't made for our kind? What if it was meant for the humans?" The idea struck Jacques Grill like a bolt of lightning. Of course, the Zorith Empire had underestimated the humans, thinking them primitive and weak. But perhaps the humans had something that the Zorith Empire didn't: the ability to interact with the weapon in ways that were beyond their understanding. The more he thought about it, the more the pieces fell into place. Back on Earth, Arlo had made an unexpected breakthrough. After days of tinkering, he had figured out how to activate the weapon's interface. It wasn't anything complex, just a series of simple gestures, something that felt almost instinctual to him. When his hand brushed across the surface, the device hummed to life. A screen appeared in the air in front of him, filled with symbols he couldn't understand. But something about it felt familiar, as if the weapon was speaking directly to him. He spent hours every day trying to decipher the symbols. Some of them looked like patterns, while others seemed to shift when he touched them. He had an idea that the device was responding to his thoughts, not just his actions. The more he focused, the clearer the symbols became. It was as if the weapon was becoming attuned to his mind, learning from him. Days turned into weeks, and Arlo's understanding of the device grew. What he didn't realize, however, was that every time he interacted with the weapon, it became more powerful. The knowledge and skills he gained from the device weren't just for him. They were for Earth. And soon, the human race would have an unexpected advantage over the invaders from the stars. The Zorith Empire had come to Earth expecting to find a planet of weak, defenseless creatures. But they had underestimated one thing: the ingenuity of humanity. Arlo's discovery had sparked something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. Now, it was only a matter of time before humans would turn the tables and take control. The Zorith Empire was growing restless. The scientists on the ship were no closer to understanding the weapon, and Commander Jacques Grill could feel the tension building. The power of the device was undeniable, and yet they had no way to control it. It had been a week since they had first brought it aboard, and each day the weapon seemed to grow more unpredictable. They had been outsmarted by something they couldn't even begin to comprehend. Jacques Grill paced back and forth in his command center. The weapon on the table in front of him seemed to mock him. It was silent, still, yet its presence filled the room. He couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just an ordinary device. It was a tool of immense power, a key to something much bigger than anything the Zoreth Empire had ever faced. "What are we missing?" Jacril muttered to himself. His thoughts were interrupted by Tykmar's voice. "Commander, we've intercepted human communications. It seems they've made progress with the device. The signals coming from Earth have changed." Jacril froze. "What do you mean, changed?" Tykmar turned the monitor toward him, showing a series of encrypted signals coming from Earth. The patterns were strange, shifting in ways that shouldn't have been possible. It was as though someone human, had figured out how to communicate with the weapon. "This doesn't make sense," Jacril said, his voice a mix of disbelief and frustration. "How could they have?" Tykmar interrupted, her expression serious. "The humans are more intelligent than we anticipated, Commander. They've discovered something, and they're using it against us." Back on Earth, Arlo was finally starting to understand the full potential of the weapon. After weeks of studying it, he had unlocked the first level of its interface. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a network, a system that allowed him to connect with other technologies. From machines to electronics, he had learned to manipulate its energy, bending it to his will. With each success, Arlo's confidence grew, but so did the complexity of the device. It was a puzzle, and he was determined to solve it. As he sat in his workshop late one night, staring at the now activated interface, something strange happened. The device seemed to respond to him in a new way. It began showing him blueprints, diagrams, and intricate designs, ideas that were beyond his wildest imagination. The weapon wasn't just teaching him how to use it. It was teaching him how to think like it, how to access its vast knowledge. Arlo's fingers flew across the controls, his mind working faster than ever before. With a deep breath, he focused all his energy on one idea: how to use the device to fight back. He wasn't just creating weapons or tools. He was creating a plan, a strategy to take down the Zoreth Empire. He was no longer just a human inventor. He was something more. The device had transformed him, elevated his mind to a level of understanding that no one had thought possible. And with that newfound power, Arlo had one goal in mind: to outsmart the Zoreth Empire and protect his world. Meanwhile, Jacril was pacing the command center once more. The Zoreth Empire was now facing an unexpected adversary, one they had not prepared for. They had assumed that their technological superiority would allow them to control Earth, but the humans were not the weaklings they had thought. Instead, they were a clever, resourceful species capable of overcoming challenges in ways the Zoreth Empire had never expected. The battle was no longer about strength or firepower. It was about intellect, about who could outthink the other. And in this game of wits, the humans were proving to be formidable opponents. Jacril clenched his fists. If the humans have learned to use the weapon, then we must stop them before they can use it against us. But it was too late. Arlo had already started to put his plan into motion. The Zoreth Empire had underestimated the power of human ingenuity, and now they would face the consequences of their mistake. Jacril stood on the bridge of the Zoreth Empire's ship, staring out at the vast emptiness of space. His mind raced. The humans had done the unthinkable. They had figured out how to control the weapon. And worse, they were using it. Every attempt to break through their defenses had failed. The weapon had become something more than just a tool. It had become an extension of the human mind, a force they could wield with terrifying precision. "This is beyond anything we could have imagined," Jacril muttered, his voice low with frustration. His officers gathered around him, their faces a mixture of awe and fear. The humans' rapid advancements had shattered their expectations. They had come to Earth thinking they would easily overpower these so-called primitive creatures, but now they were the ones at a disadvantage. The weapon, which had seemed so alien and incomprehensible when they first discovered it, had turned into a weapon of human ingenuity. Arlo and his allies had unlocked its potential, using it in ways the Zoreth Empire couldn't understand. "Commander," Tykmar said, her voice filled with concern. The signals from Earth are escalating. They've begun transmitting something. Something that looks like a challenge. They're daring us to come down. Jacquel's eyes narrowed. What kind of challenge? Tykmar hesitated. It's a message, a declaration, if you will. The humans. They believe they can win. They think they can defeat us using our own weapon. Jacquel felt a chill run down his spine. The arrogance of the humans had always been a mystery to him, but now it seemed that their confidence wasn't misplaced. They had found a way to turn the tables, and with the weapon in their hands, the power they wielded was unimaginable. He knew they had to act fast before Earth's ingenuity could grow beyond their control. On Earth, Arlo was feeling the weight of his newfound power. The more he used the device, the more he learned. The weapon was linked to an ancient network, one that spanned the galaxy, connecting thousands of forgotten technologies. The Zorath Empire had stumbled upon a key, but it was the humans who had the ability to unlock it. Arlo had gathered a small group of engineers and scientists to help him build a defense against the Zorath Empire's inevitable attack. Together, they had crafted machines and shields, all powered by the energy that flowed from the ancient weapon. It wasn't just about defending Earth anymore. It was about proving to the Zorath Empire that humanity would not bow to anyone. But as Arlo stood in his workshop, watching his inventions come to life, he couldn't help but feel a creeping sense of unease. The device was giving him knowledge, power, but at what cost? He had learned to manipulate the energy, to control its flow, but it wasn't just a tool for defense. It was a weapon that could destroy entire worlds. He knew that if the Zorath Empire came, it wouldn't be enough to simply fight them off. This was bigger than just a battle. It was a fight for survival, and Arlo knew that the humans had to be ready for whatever the aliens threw at them. The weapon's true power was something that could alter the course of the galaxy. And now, with humanity at the center of it, the universe would never be the same. The humans had done the unthinkable. They had turned the tables. And now the Zorath Empire would face the horrifying consequences of underestimating them. The fight was no longer about who had the most advanced technology. It was about who could outthink the other. And in this battle of wits, humanity had proven they were more than capable. The tension in the air was thick as Commander Jacquel and his officers stood in silence on the bridge of their ship. The humans, the primitive species they had once underestimated, were no longer the weak beings they had assumed them to be. They had proven themselves to be far more capable than the Zorath Empire could have imagined. The weapon, once a mystery, now a tool of human brilliance, had turned the tide in the battle for Earth. "We've made a grave mistake," Jacquel said, his voice cold and full of regret. "We underestimated them. We thought they were just another species to conquer, but they've shown us what they are truly capable of." Tykmar, standing beside him, nodded. "We thought we were the superior force, but now we face something we cannot defeat. The humans have adapted to the weapon in ways we couldn't predict." Jacquel clenched his fists, staring at the view screen in front of him. He could see Earth in the distance, its green-blue surface glowing softly against the vastness of space. But it was no longer a world he could claim as easily as he had once thought. The humans had turned the weapon into a symbol of their strength and ingenuity. They had become a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, on Earth, Arlo stood at the heart of the human resistance. The weapons he had helped create were now fully operational, and the humans were ready to face the Zorath Empire head-on. The technology they had once believed to be a mystery was now a key to their survival. The energy from the weapon flowed through the machines they had built, powering shields, weapons, and systems that could stand up to the might of the Zorath forces. Arlo's team had worked tirelessly, using their newfound knowledge to create strategies and defenses. They knew the Zorath Empire would not give up easily, but the humans had a strength that was unique. It was not just their technology. It was their determination, their ability to adapt and innovate in the face of impossible odds. The Zorath Empire had thought they would come to Earth and conquer it in a matter of days. Instead, they had stirred something much stronger: human ingenuity. As the Zoreth fleet prepared to make its final assault, the humans were ready. Arlo stood with his team, watching as the weapons powered up and the shields surrounded the planet. The energy from the ancient weapon flowed through the air, creating a powerful barrier that blocked any attempt to breach Earth's defenses. "We have a chance," Arlo said quietly, his eyes fixed on the sky. "A real chance." The Zoreth Empire's ships came into view, their massive forms filling the sky as they prepared to land. But as they approached Earth, they were met with something they hadn't anticipated. The human defenses, powered by the ancient weapon, stood strong, and as the battle began, it was clear that the humans were not backing down. Jakril's ship came into range of the human defenses, but it was immediately met with powerful blasts from the human weapons. The Zoreth fleet retaliated, but their attacks were ineffective against the human shields. Arlo's team had done the impossible. They had turned the tables on the once dominant force in the galaxy. The Zoreth forces, overwhelmed by the unexpected resistance, began to retreat. The humans had fought back, not with brute force, but with their intelligence, their creativity, and their sheer will to survive. The Zoreth Empire, once certain of their victory, now found themselves on the defensive. As the last of the Zoreth ships turned to flee, Jakril watched in disbelief. The humans had won. Earth had been saved, not by strength or violence, but by the very thing the Zoreth Empire had overlooked: human ingenuity. The weapon they had thought would be their key to domination had become their downfall. And now, Earth stood as a beacon of what could be achieved when creativity and determination were combined. The humans had taken their place in the galaxy, not as a primitive species to be conquered, but as a force that would shape the future. The Zoreth Empire had learned an important lesson that day: never underestimate the power of human ingenuity. The era of human submission was over. A new era had begun, and it was one the Zoreth Empire would have to reckon with. The Zoreth Empire had always prided itself on its technological superiority. Their fleet was one of the most advanced in the galaxy, capable of destroying entire planets with ease. Their soldiers were trained for battle, their weapons unmatched. They had conquered countless worlds, each one falling quickly under their might. And yet, they had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. Jakril stood in the command center, staring at the screen as the last of the Zoreth ships fled the orbit of Earth. The once unstoppable force of the Zoreth Empire was now retreating, humbled by a species they had thought to be primitive. The humans, with their ingenuity and creativity, had not only survived, but had turned the tide of the war. And now, the Zoreth Empire was left to pick up the pieces. "We've lost," Jakril said, his voice quiet, his tone filled with disbelief. He had been certain that their victory was inevitable. They had come to Earth to conquer, to bring the planet under the control of the Zoreth Empire. But they had failed. Tykmar stood beside him, her face grave. "It's not just that we lost, Commander. It's what this means for the future. The humans have shown us that they are not to be underestimated. They've learned to harness the power of the weapon, and now they hold the key to something far greater than we can comprehend." Jakril clenched his fists. He had never imagined that a species so seemingly weak could be so resilient. The humans had not only adapted to the weapon, they had mastered it. And with that mastery, they had turned the weapon against the very empire that had once thought it could dominate them. The Zoreth Empire had thought they could control Earth, but now it was Earth that controlled them. As the retreating ships disappeared from view, Jakril knew that the Zoreth Empire's reputation across the galaxy would be forever tarnished. Other alien species who had once feared the might of the Zoreth fleet would now see them as vulnerable. The humans had proven that they were not just survivors. They were a force to be reckoned with. On Earth, the victory was met with both celebration and reflection. Arlo stood in front of a large crowd, his eyes scanning the faces of the people who had helped turn the tide. The humans had faced an unimaginable threat and come out victorious. But Arlo knew that this was only the beginning. The Zoreth Empire had retreated, but they hadn't been completely defeated. And there were still unknown forces in the galaxy, forces that might now see Earth as a new power to be reckoned with. "We've shown them what we can do," Arlo said, addressing the crowd. "But we cannot stop here. We've proven that our creativity, our ingenuity, can stand up to even the most advanced civilizations, and we must be ready for what comes next." The crowd cheered, their spirits high after the hard-fought victory. But Arlo knew that the battle for Earth's future wasn't over. The Zorath Empire might have retreated, but there were other threats out there. Other alien races who would come to test humanity's strength. The galaxy would never be the same after what had happened on Earth. The humans had shown that they were no longer the weak, helpless species they had once been thought to be. They had risen to meet the challenge, and they had succeeded. And now, the universe would have to reckon with humanity's place in it. The humans had claimed their victory, but they also knew that their true strength lay in their ability to adapt, to innovate, and to face whatever came next. The Zorath Empire had learned a harsh lesson. Never underestimate the power of human ingenuity. And the universe would be watching closely, wondering what the humans would do next. The dust had settled. The Zorath Empire had retreated, their fleet scattered, their pride shattered. Earth, once a small and insignificant planet in the eyes of many, had proven itself to be more than capable of defending its people. Arlo stood on the balcony of the newly rebuilt city center, looking out over the sprawling landscape of a world that had changed forever. The victory had been hard-won. It was not just a triumph of technology or strength. It was a victory of human ingenuity, resilience, and determination. The Zorath Empire had underestimated them, believing that with their advanced technology, they could crush humanity without effort. But they had been wrong. Earth had fought back, not with brute force, but with creativity, resourcefulness, and a unity that had surprised even the most skilled strategists. Arlo's mind was still processing everything that had happened. The weapon, once a mystery, was now a part of Earth's future. He had helped unlock its secrets, but the true power lay in what humanity could do with it. It wasn't just about defense anymore. It was about potential. The weapon had given them the means to protect themselves, but it had also shown them the door to greater possibilities. Humanity was no longer just a species struggling to survive. They were a force in the galaxy, capable of shaping their own destiny. The quiet hum of the city below was a reminder of how much had changed. People moved through the streets, rebuilding, working, and preparing for the future. There was a sense of optimism in the air. Earth had faced its greatest challenge and had come out stronger on the other side. But Arlo knew this peace would not last forever. The galaxy was vast, and though the Zorath Empire had retreated, they were not the only powerful force out there. "We've won," Arlo said aloud to himself, a smile playing on his lips, but it was a smile tempered with caution. But we're just getting started. The world around him was changing. Nations had united, and the divisions that once separated them were slowly being healed. The knowledge gained from the ancient weapon was being shared freely, and Earth's best minds were coming together to build a future unlike anything the world had ever seen. People were no longer divided by borders or resources. They were united by a common purpose: to explore, to innovate, and to ensure that no one could threaten their home again. But as Earth began to rebuild, Arlo couldn't ignore the nagging feeling in the back of his mind. The Zorath Empire might have retreated, but they hadn't been completely defeated. And there were other civilizations out there. Other races who might see Earth as a threat or an opportunity. Arlo knew that humanity's place in the galaxy had just changed, and that change would not go unnoticed. "We need to be ready," Arlo thought, turning from the balcony and walking back inside. The weapon, now safely under Earth's control, would remain a key part of their strategy. It was a tool, but it was also a symbol of their newfound strength. They could not afford to be complacent. The universe was a dangerous place, and Earth had made its mark on it. But there was a sense of excitement in the air as well. A new chapter had begun for humanity, one filled with possibilities they had never dared to imagine. The future was theirs to shape, and they would no longer be the underdog. Humanity had shown what they could do when they worked together, and now the stars themselves seemed within reach. As Arlo looked up at the stars, he realized that the war with the Zorith Empire had been just the beginning. The universe was full of unknowns, but one thing was certain: humanity was ready.